Hey guys, Brandon from Hobbies here, and today I'm going to be taking you through an introduction to slot cars. Let's get started. So, what are slot cars? Well, slot cars are a series of cars that run on a track with a slot. So, if we have a look here, we have this Scalextric set. We've got this, which is your two contacts, and then a slot down the middle. Now, your cars have a guide or guide blade that runs in that exact same position. So this is where they get the name slot cars from, where you've got this that runs through there and these two contacts that sit on these contacts here and go around the track. Each set comes with a predetermined like corners and straights and that, which you can configure into your own layouts or run the layouts that they give you. With slot cars, we stock the two major brands, which are Scalextric and Carrera. In basic terms, these brands do the same thing. You've got digital, you've got analog, you've got smaller scales, and you've got larger scales. It then comes down to preference and what you want to do, which will determine which brand or set that you start to choose. So, what do you get in a slot car set? Well, let's open one up and have a look. So, each slot car set is going to come with the same basic things. You're going to have a whole bunch of track, like these here. You're going to have your cars, which this set here is awesome. It comes with Back to the Future DeLorean and the Pontiac Firebird from Knight Rider. You also get controllers. So most slot car sets will run with two cars. So this one comes with two controllers. You will get a guide to getting started, your power base, which will connect your controllers as well as your power. And then of course you will have your power source. So the main thing to remember with slot cars is this is an electrical device. So this connects straight to a power source. These controllers power through these contacts here, which power onto the braids on the bottom of the car. So keeping the track and the braids on the car in top condition is key to having a set that runs smoothly all the time. So you've got to make sure that these stay clean and that the braids on the car, if they start to deteriorate, you get replacements, which most cars do come with a set of replacements. So, controlling a slot car. Well, this here is your power base. So this is where you connect your power to, and your controllers connect in here. These are numbered 1 and 2, which is for lanes 1 and 2. So, for example, this plugs straight into here. It can only go in one way, so that goes into there. So, you would have your car, this blade sits in there, running in that lane. Now, it's very simple. This here is your control. So this is your throttle, like in a real car. And this, depending on how far you pull it, is going to depend on how far or how fast the car goes. And a word of caution, never go flat out straight away, because what will happen is that car will go right off the track, first corner. And especially in cars like Scalextric and Carrera that have so much detail, this is when wings and spoilers and mirrors come flying off, because they're not made to tumble off the track at the scale speed of, 100, 200 mile an hour. So, connecting the track. Tracks will, all different types of brands and that will have the same basic connections. These connect the connections into the other power source, and then you'll have clips that connect the plastic bits of the track together. So it's really simple, but you've got to make sure you're not forcing it, because if it has to be forced together, there's probably something not right and you don't want to break these connections. So it is very simple. You've got your two slots there, that slips into there, and like that, your track is now connected. Now you want to make sure that this is butted up against each other, because if there's not, the cars can get caught in the gap here if you have left a gap or haven't connected them properly, and there will also be a disconnect in the power, because remember this is just like a constant power source, so if there's a gap here because it's not connected properly, the cars won't be able to connect to that next piece of track. So, a quick note on disconnecting the track. So, don't just pull them because they won't clip apart. You do have these little tabs here that you've got to push down to release the track. So you push them down and the track will slide out quite easily. Again, if you're having to force it, there's probably something not right, so make sure that you are pressing those connections that will release the track. All basic slot cars run on the same system, and the biggest thing when running slot cars is these braids here. Because you've got to remember that is your connection to the track, that is your connection to power, that is your connection to the controllers. So if these start to wear out, they do fray, they do split. If these start to wear out and they're all frayed and you've noticed that the car is, kind of hesitating or it gets to bits and it slows down, the first thing you've got to check is that the braids on these cars are still in good condition and are connecting to the track properly. Luckily, there are really cheap fix. You get them in like packs of 10 or so. They're not expensive, and most slot cars, for example, Scalextric, do come with spare braids so that you can replace them and you get a fair use out of them. And if the connections or the braids are fine on these, the next thing you got to check is the track itself. But most commonly, the braids on the cars are what are going to stop the car from running smoothly. So, cars, scales. The most common scales for Carrera and Scalextric, and the most widely used, would be your 30-second scale. So both Carrera and Scalextric run 30-second scale and 43rd scale, and as you can see here, that is a 30-second scale Scalextric's Falcon and a 43rd scale Carrera Go Max Verstappen F1. That is a big deciding factor in the sets you're going to get, are the cars you're going to run and the scales you're going to run. So if you've got a lot more space, of course you're going to want to run the 30-second scale because you've got a lot more variety of cars and a bit more choice in the type of racing that you're going to do. But 30-second scale in Carrera and Scalextric do have quite a variety in the cars you're going to pick. So Scalextric, you've got the choice of Australian cars. So in Australia, Scalextric's really popular because you've got GT Falcons, you know, racing Falcons, Tiranas, Commodores. So they do a range of Australian cars, which is a big factor in most people that are getting into slot cars, is what cars they're going to race. Carrera still have an awesome range, but you've got a lot more European cars. So you've got your DTMs, you've got your Le Mans cars. So you've got a lot more racing cars. Scalextric do also have a wide range of racing cars and road cars. So that is a big factor in what you're going to pick. But yeah, your basic scales are 30-second scale and 43rd. So, what set to start off with? Are you a beginner? Are you got kids using it? Do you want to get into this and want to go all out? So, the question for kids is how old? So, your young kids, the Carrera Go and your Scalextric, you know, 43s, depending on how young they are, might even be too complicated. So, Carrera do a range of Carrera First, which are battery operated, fun little sets for kids. These are for your younger kids, so you know the car's a lot more durable, they don't have that much speed, but they're great fun for little kids. For the kids that are a bit older, this is where they start to want to have a set like Dad's, you know, they want to be able to expand it, get new cars. This is where the Carrera Go range is awesome. So just like the full-size 30-second scale sets, the Carrera Go, which is 43rd scale, has upgradable cars, so you can put more cars on the track, you can expand the track, you've got track sets, you know, individual pieces. So that is a great way for kids to get into slot cars because you've got everything there and you can expand it. The Scalextric 43 range is the same size as the Carrera Go. Scalextric have said they will be doing more cars and expansions, but as of the moment they have just got track sets. So if your kids aren't looking to expand it, the Scalextric set 43s is the way to go. Now, the bigger scales. You've got, of course, Scalextric and Carrera. So your Carrera Evolution and your standard Scalextric are analog sets, where you've got, you know, a whole range of cars. So Scalextric cars are all analog, but digital ready. And then Carrera, you've got your Evolution and your digital cars, which gives you the choice of running, you know, just your standard analog if you don't need to go digital, but those cars are digital ready if you did want to. And this is the perfect way for the 30-second scale to get into that because these are, you know, your standard size, standard heaps of track expansions, heaps of cars, and your standard scale across the board. But that begs the question, analog or digital? Basically, with a digital set, you've got a controller that is paired to a car, so you're not going to be swapping them around because this little chip here is what makes a digital car a digital car. So this will allow for lane changing, track telemetry, so you can see lap times, who's in what position, how many laps you've done, and this simple little chip makes the world of difference in slot car racing. Awesome guys, so that's it for today. We hope you've answered all your questions in the world of slot cars. Please feel free to come down and see us, check out all these sets and all the cars we've got in the cabinet, or come see us online because we've got the whole range up there. If we haven't answered all your questions, give us a call, let us know, and we're happy to answer them. Until next time, see you then.